it's Esther and welcome to the lesson. In today's lesson, we need to continue and learn about the Prairie provinces, British Columbia, and the Northern Territories. Before we talk about each province, I think it's important for you to know that when we talk about the West as Canadians, we mean any province that is west of Ontario. So that means that Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia are all considered out west. Let's get going on the Prairie provinces, and we will start with Manitoba. Manitoba's economy is based on agriculture, mining, and hydroelectric power generation. The biggest city is the capital, Winnipeg. Winnipeg has the largest French population in Western Canada, many Ukrainians, and the largest Aboriginal population of any province at over 15%. Moving west, we come to the Prairie province of Saskatchewan. Again, agriculture, especially grains, makes Saskatchewan known as the breadbasket of the world or the wheat province. It is also rich in uranium, potash, oil, and natural gas. Regina is the capital city, and it is where the RCMP, Canada's National Police Force, has a training academy. Moving west again, we are in Alberta. Alberta has the most people of the three Prairie provinces. Alberta has many different landscapes, like some of the Rocky Mountains, and an area called the Badlands, where you can find fossils and dinosaur bones. There are 5 national parks. You probably have heard of Banff National Park. Lake Louise and the province of Alberta got their names from Queen Victoria's 4th daughter, Princess Louise Caroline, Alberta. Alberta is very famous as the largest producer of oil and gas, but there is also agriculture, with a specialty in beef production. The most western province is British Columbia. The Port of Vancouver is considered the gateway to the Asia-Pacific. It is Canada's largest and busiest port in terms of trade. British Columbia is most famous for the Rocky Mountains and the forests and the forestry industry. There is also mining, fishing, fruit, and wine industries. BC has the biggest park system in all of Canada. There is so much beautiful nature to see. BC has a very large Asian and South Asian community. It makes Chinese and Punjabi very common languages in Canada. Victoria is the capital city on Vancouver Island, and it's also a tourist center. It has the headquarters for the Canadian Navy's Pacific Ocean boats and ships. Now we're going to move to the north on our map of Canada. You can see the Yukon Territories, the Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. They take up 1/3 of Canada's land mass, but only 100,000 people live there. The north has a very unique climate. They have long, cold winters and short, cool summers. The land, the type of land, is also quite interesting. It's called tundra. Tundra is grassland in the summer, but it's permanently frozen, and there are no trees. The north is also known as the land of the midnight sun. This is interesting because in the summertime, the sun never sets, so it's continuously light. But in some of the winter months, it's continuously dark and the sun does not come up. You can imagine how challenging it is to live there. Some people in Canada's north make their money and make their living by hunting, trapping, and fishing. And most of the Inuit people of Canada live in the north. Let's start with the Yukon. The Yukon is famous for the gold rush in the 1890s. Mining is still a big part of the economy there. There is a highway called the White Pass and also the Yukon Railway that goes from Skagway, Alaska, all the way to Whitehorse. Tourists can cross amazing high bridges and see spectacular mountain views on this route. Yukon holds the record for the lowest temperature ever recorded in Canada, minus 63 degrees Celsius. Mount Logan is the highest mountain in Canada, named after Sir William Logan, a famous geologist considered one of Canada's greatest scientists. Now let's look at the Northwest Territories. The capital city, Yellowknife, is known as the Diamond Capital of North America. More than half of the population is Aboriginal. Some of those groups are called the Dene, Métis, and Inuit. Northwest Territories is famous for the very long Mackenzie River, the second longest river system in North America after the Mississippi. Our last territory is Nunavut. If you remember from Lesson 1, we talked about the name Nunavut being from the Inuktitut language. It means our land, and Nunavut is the newest territory, established in 1999. This new territory was the eastern part of the Northwest Territories before 1999. The capital is now called Iqaluit, but before it was called Frobisher Bay, named after an English explorer. Nunavut chooses its leader and territorial government by consensus, and that's different than the regular elections in other provinces and territories. The population is about 85% Inuit, and Inuktitut is taught as an official language in the schools. One last interesting aspect of the North I wanted to share with you is on page 51 in your Discover Canada guide. It's about a group called the Canadian Rangers, and you can imagine that it's quite difficult to keep such a large isolated area of Canada's north safe and secure. Well, this group is part of the Canadian Forces Reserves, and they use their knowledge of the land and all-terrain vehicles to patrol Canada's north and keep us all safe. And here we are at the end of the Canada's Geography module. If you haven't tried the activity or the quiz yet, give it a try and see how you do. And we'll see you in the next module.